Welcome back, everyone. My name is Patrick. You're watching the Oilers Rundown. As you can see, officially back in the studio after my week-long vacation in Florida. Had an amazing time. Unfortunately, it resulted in not too much content being posted for you guys, so I apologize for that. I did get a Fanatic Rundown posted following the Oilers and Golden Knights, where the Oilers' winning streak was unfortunately snapped, but I have missed the past two games over the Ducks and Kings. The Kings was definitely a game to miss, but it was nice to see the Oilers come back and get the win in Anaheim. So February hasn't started too well for the Edmonton Oilers. There's been lots of rumors going around over the past week. Let's take a look at all of that and go over all the latest. As we've previously discussed, February will be the month that will dictate what the Oilers do ahead of the March 8th trade deadline. After a perfect January, the Oilers have lost two of their first three games in February, both losses coming against key Pacific Division opponents. The remaining 9 games in February will all have their challenges, certainly some more than others, but there will be 2 more Pacific Division matchups as the Oilers face the Flames on the 24th and Kings on the 26th. Notably, there's only one back-to-back, with the Oilers facing the Wild and Flames on the 23rd and 24th. Over the past 2 games, head coach Chris Knobloch has tinkered with the lineup, getting a chance to see players in different positions and likely to get an idea of how things could work after some possible trades. Some of the bigger moves have been the formation of a new second line featuring Evander Kane, Leon Draisaitl, and Corey Perry, and trying Vinny Desharnais higher up on D, pairing him with Darnell Nurse. The second line change has been strong for the most part, but with 2 weaker performances overall, I think we are hard-pressed to call the changes a total success. On the rumor front, here are some of the names the Oilers have been connected to over the past week. It's believed that the Oilers' top priority going into the trade deadline is to add a top 6 forward that will help them in rolling 4 lines come playoff time. Multiple insiders, including Pierre LeBrun and Elliot Friedman, believe that Jake Gensel of the Pittsburgh Penguins is the Oilers' number 1 target. He would obviously be a massive addition to the top 6, most likely playing with Kane and Draisaitl, allowing Nuge, McDavid, and Hyman to stay together. The Oilers would be instantly deeper and have another legitimate scoring threat. Another name we heard this week is Vladimir Tarasenko of the Ottawa Senators. Tarasenko would be another great addition, but clearly a step down from Gensel, but at the same time, also likely much cheaper to acquire. I don't know if Tarasenko is a lock as a top 6 forward at this point, but I'm sure the Oilers would start him there. According to Pierre LeBrun, Jordan Eberle is a name gaining steam within the Oilers' front office. It would be a great reunion story bringing Ebbs back to oil country, but it does require that Seattle falls out of the playoff race. I don't know if Eberle would be the dynamic ad I'd be looking for, but I'm certainly not against him coming back. Pierre LeBrun also mentions Daniel Sprong and David Perron as potential ads from the Detroit Red Wings. Again, this would require the Wings to fall out of the playoff race. Either player would be a welcome addition, but like Eberle, they aren't dynamic ads, in my opinion. Still, either guy could easily become the missing piece that puts the team over the top come playoff time. There definitely seems to be a lot of smoke between the Edmonton Oilers and Philadelphia Flyers. Scott Laughton, a middle 6 forward who can play left wing and center, has been mentioned. He still has 2 years left on his deal at $3 million per season. He'd likely slot in as the Oilers' number 3C, giving them more options for line combinations. And on defense, Philadelphia Flyers right shot D Sean Walker has had a constant connection with the Oilers over the past month. Nothing is definite, of course, but it would almost be shocking if it didn't happen at this point. The cost is believed to be a first-round pick for Walker, but let's see how that develops. Jack Campbell has also been linked to the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers are willing to take on money if they are compensated, and moving Campbell would give the Oilers a lot more financial freedom at the deadline. Another D-man we've previously discussed, Nashville Predators right shot D Alexander Carrier, is also a name gaining traction. He's played with Ekholm in Nashville, has strong numbers, and is a pending UFA, only costing $2.5 million. Definitely one of the better options. And lastly, Calgary Flames right shot D Chris Tanev. I still find it hard to believe the Oilers and Flames could get this deal done, but we've seen the Canucks and Flames doing deals, so why not the Oilers and Flames, I guess? If it were to happen, the Oilers would definitely be paying a steep price. I think Tanev ends up in Toronto, but everything remains wide open at the present time. As of today, the Oilers are happy with their goaltending, but Elliot Friedman has mentioned Minnesota's Marc-Andre Fleury as a possible target in goal. Fleury would definitely be my number one target, bringing playoff experience and some guidance to Stuart Skinner. I think the Oilers have to give Calvin Pickard some tough matchups this month and see how he does. He's been excellent so far, and if that continues in February, I think the Oilers stand pat. If either Skinner or Pickard struggle in February, expect the goalie conversation to heat up once again. Jack Campbell remains an option as well. He's turned his game around in Bakersfield, and if he's still here past the deadline, I imagine he's at the very least the Oilers' number 3 goalie come playoff time. Oilers insider Bob Stauffer doesn't see Philip Broberg being moved for a rental. He thinks he's on the roster next season. Let's take a look at the current roster and see how it could look following the trade deadline. I think the number 1 line of Nuge, McDavid, and Hyman remains intact, and there will need to be a casualty in the top 9 heading out the door to free up a roster spot and create cap space. I think that casualty will either be Warren Foegele, who carries a $2.75 million cap hit and is a pending UFA, or Ryan McLeod, who carries a $2.1 million cap hit and still has 1 year remaining on his deal. If a player like Scott Lawton comes in as the third-line center or third-line left wing, that pushes one of Dylan Holloway or Ryan McLeod, not necessarily forcing a trade, but it creates a logjam. On the fourth line, I think all 3 of Janmark, Ryan, and Brown are vulnerable. I think the Oilers prefer to have Holloway in the top 9, but he could be moved down and play as the fourth-line center. I think Sam Gagner, if he's ready to go, needs to draw back in more. Not necessarily as an everyday player, but he definitely needs to play more. Janmark and Brown have been staples due to their penalty-killing ability, but they have a combined 1 goal. Derek Ryan likely survives any changes, unless the Oilers bring in a significant upgrade. I can see the Oilers making a fourth-line addition, if the price is right. I see Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, and Desharnais as being safe on D, but I think it's a given that one of Brett Kulak or Cody Ceci are moved at this point, possibly even both. A decor that looks like this isn't out of the question. It's probably unlikely they move both Kulak and Ceci, but if they believe Broberg can play now, I wouldn't dismiss it. It also provides cost savings. Is this an improved decor? I guess time would tell. As I mentioned earlier, if Skinner and Pickard get the job done in February, I think they are the tandem come playoff time, with either Jack Campbell or Olivier Rodrigue joining them as the number 3 goalie. Personally, I would feel safer with a stronger insurance goalie brought in, but if upgrades are made up front and on D, that may be good enough. To sum up, I've highlighted in orange the players I think could be moved and where I think changes could be made. I think we see 2 moves for sure, a top 9 forward and a top 4 D, and possibly 3 additional moves. A fourth-line forward, Broberg brought in, replacing a second D-man, and a 1B goalie to play with Skinner, pushing Pickard or Campbell, if he's still here, to the number 3 spot. Seeing 5 moves is unlikely though. I'd anticipate 2 to 3 changes. Well, that's all the latest, guys. All the rumors I've heard over the past week. Boone Jenner is another name that came up around the All-Star break. He could possibly come in as the Oilers' new third-line center. Lots of possibilities out there. Which players would you guys go after? Tarasenko, Gensel, Sean Walker, Alexander Carrier. Who are your number 1 targets? What changes do you think the Oilers should make before the trade deadline? Let me know in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan.